Hi guys, welcome back to Hairdryer Treatment. Richard's Ramble is back for the first time since God knows when. My apologies for not doing a Richard's Ramble for a while, but you know what, as a United fan, but as a football fan as well, there's a lot to be talking about at the minute. I asked you guys to obviously respond to our tweet and give me some topics to talk about, and not to my surprise, there's a lot of Man United fans in the comments who want to hear my opinions on what's happening at United at the moment. So I'm going to start with United. The first question I'm going to discuss, the obvious one, am I Ollie in or Ollie out? Now, I want to make it really clear, I'm not satisfied with how the team are playing at the minute. I'm not satisfied with the relegation battle that we are in. I'm not satisfied with the form that we are showing. But at the same time, I've just got many, many questions. I think the same group of players have failed many, many managers, obviously, post Sir Alex. That needs to be put out there as well. I think our recruitment policy has been absolutely shocking as well since Alex went. And I just think there's a lot of questions as well, not just all about Ollie. I think the problems run a lot deeper, and I said this before Ollie come in, it wasn't going to be a quick fix. He's got to get rid of a lot of deadwood. I think he started that process, but however, I completely hold my hands up and say, well, you know what, sometimes he's been playing like of Matic when he shouldn't have been playing, for example. He's putting Pereira out on the right wing. He's trying to accommodate players for me in positions that don't suit them, and that's where Ollie does come into it. So I do believe that on the pitch, we have to question Ollie definitely, with some of the tactics that he's played and some of the systems. Some of the players that he's playing out of position, I think literally our squad is very, very weak as it is, and I think the fact that we're playing people out of position, I think you have to question him there. I think his subs are made far too late as well, which also doesn't help. But I think as a club, and I mean this seriously, as a club, not just Ollie as a manager, I think there are a lot of questions that need to be answered, and I think Ollie is the face of that at the moment. Thank you so much, Cole Ferguson, for the super chat. I really do appreciate that. I hope you're doing very well. Hi, Alex. Hope you're good. Hi, Mr. E. Long time no talk. Hope you're good. Sarri Ball's looking good. Roberto, obviously a Juve fan, so big up that one. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Our club is dog shit. It's embarrassing. Kyle says hi, so I hope you're good. Kyle, I'm all right, thank you. I'm not too bad in terms of United, not so good, but I hope you're good as well. So for me, I'm very undecided on this whole Ollie in, Ollie out thing, because I genuinely believe that the issues run a lot deeper. However, I do believe that there's that many people who are against Ollie now. The style of football that we are playing under Ollie is not good enough. The squad isn't good enough. I fully stick to that. I think he's tried to get rid of some deadwood in his transfer window, and the signings he has made has been promising. Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, James, I think have all been good signings, and I think that's credit to Ollie, which also is the reason why I think he should be given more time, but I don't think he will get that time. And you have to say, with the form we're in at the moment, literally in a relegation battle, should Ollie be given that time? I think his subs, it makes them far too late. Again, that's where he should come into question. But I'm really undecided about this Ollie in, Ollie out, because the reason I'm saying that is because I don't want us to become a sacking club, and we said this before. We all fell in love with, obviously, Ollie coming and taking over. It was emotional, and I think the style of football that Ollie was playing when he took over, we were fearless, players were confident, we attacked at pace. And now we've seen that's changed, and we're not playing that way anymore, which is what also sways my decision. I think when he first took over, I loved how he was playing. We were exciting to watch. Like I say, we played those risky balls forwards, we attacked. Whereas now, we look terrified again. It's like being back playing under Jose Mourinho. We look absolutely terrified on the ball. We look out of ideas. We're absolutely clueless. And any team playing against us, realistically, they just have to sit in and play on the counter, and that's how they'll beat us every single time. That against Newcastle, I'll be honest, I won't say I expected it to happen, but I literally was not surprised in the slightest, because I knew that they would play like that against us. They would sit in, we would struggle to break them down. In open play, we really, really struggled to create chances. We haven't got a natural goal scorer. And I just think the problems, like I say, are a lot deeper. We're relying on the likes of Greek Mud far too much. Pereira's playing out on the right, but let's face it, he's not out on the right. And if he does play, he should play for me more centrally. And I just think that, yeah, I think this is a comedy of errors coming straight from the top. Ollie is the face of it, and I do believe that now. I mean, I've been talking to people about it day in day out, and people are saying he's a glorified PE teacher. He just puts the cones out. Tactically, he's inept, and you're starting to see that now. You're starting to see now the emotion has kind of died away, and obviously we're relying on tactics to be changed when we're coming up against these teams who are playing this system against them. And we seem like we haven't got any ideas. We seem like we're clueless. We don't know what to change to. Subs have made far too late, and that's where the issue is for me. I think that Ollie tactically, I think maybe it's come unstuck. Maybe it's been found out now. We're out of ideas. teams know how to play against us, so we need to be thinking what's our plan B, and we haven't got one. We literally haven't got one. But it kills me because, like I say, Ollie coming in and the way that we played when he first took over was fantastic. People believe that he's lost the bottle, and that, yeah, maybe he has. Maybe obviously now he's in the job full time, and there's more pressure on his shoulders. But it was working. It was working when he did that before, and for whatever reason, he's not doing that now. And that's why a lot of people are Ollie out. Their patience is obviously gone. And you have to say, as United fans, people are saying we need to be patient. We have been patient, really, when you look at the amount of managers that we've had. And a lot of people are turning now on these players. And I turned on the players after the Mourinho era. And it was the same for me, really, with Jose Mourinho. I think the players looked like they stopped playing for him. We looked clueless. We didn't have a plan B. Under Jose Mourinho, obviously, we got bored of the football. And I think that's happening now with Ollie as well. A lot of people believe that we should get a more experienced manager in, but my question out to you guys then is, if Ollie was sacked, who would you guys want? Who is available to replace him right now? And that's one thing that we need to obviously be looking at, because you can't just keep sacking people and not having a replacement, especially when you're in a relegation battle. Big Sam, is he the guy? And I'm saying that obviously laughing and joking, because that's the banter that's been going about because of us being in a relegation battle, and he keeps teams up. But who is available? Who would you like to come? Allegri obviously is a good shout, and that's one that a lot of people are mentioning. But Ancelotti is another good shout. People wanted him a few years ago. But yeah, I'm really undecided. I know I'm kind of sitting on the fence, but it's because I know the problems run deeper than Ollie. If we just change Ollie, I don't see drastic changes. I think there's a lot of players who need to go who simply aren't good enough. And then you have to look obviously the board as well. And above, our recruitment has been shocking over the last few years, regardless of who the manager has been. The only time it's slightly promising was under Ollie, when we've got the likes of Wan-Bissaka, Maguire and James, because I think they're the kind of signings that we needed to make. Yes, we paid mad money for Maguire, but let's face it, we needed him. So I'm really undecided. Let's see what some of you guys are saying in the comments. Ollie out, the rebuild is about fighting for the title, not fighting to stay up from relegation. Exactly, I agree. Our form is absolutely shocking. We need the manager of Leipzig, a young manager with a clear vision. Yeah, I think that's the frustrating thing for me as a United fan. I think you look at us, and at least under Mourinho, we had a style of play. Yeah, it was boring, but at least we had a system. We were defensive, but we had a style of play. Under Ollie, I think we look clueless. We don't look defensive. We don't look attacking. We're kind of nowhere, really. We're a nothing team at the minute. That's fair play to Newcastle, because people have been bantering Newcastle and all that, but they had a plan, they had a system against us, and each player knew their role, and it worked. Our players, we don't look like we know our role. We do not look like we know our system. And we don't. We literally don't. And that's why people keep saying, what are we working on the training ground? Which is why a lot of pressure is turned onto Ollie. And rightly so. You have to say. And one player that I talk to my dad about this guy all the time, because obviously my dad's a Wolves fan, but Adama Traore is a perfect example for me for good coaching. He joined Wolves. A mixed bag of a player, got a lot of potential. His pace is obviously ridiculous, but he was a bit of a headless chicken. He had no end product. He looked lost on the pitch, to be honest. He used to be brought on as a super sub because his pace would change games. Now he's a starter. He's playing in the right wing back position. He knows his role solidly. He scored 2 goals against City at the weekend. He was a constant threat, and that's a player for me who has been coached. He knows his role now. Week in, week out, he's getting better every single week, and that's because he's feeling more confident, one, in his role, but two, he's aware of what he's been asked to do as a coach. That is what Ollie should be instilling in his players, but I don't see that kind of method. I'm not saying I want Nuno at Wolves. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm not saying I want Adama at Wolves. I'm just saying that that's one example where you see an improvement in a player where he looks like he's being coached the right way to play within a system that the team all know. Our team look absolutely clueless when we're on the pitch, and our team, to be honest, individuals, I think that we look absolutely shambolic. We look like we're turning to someone for a bit of magic on the pitch, but we've got no creativity. And especially when Pogba isn't there, I know people believe we've got it in for Pogba, I haven't. When he isn't there, we lack massively in the middle. We already said we lacked not signing a midfielder. A lot of people obviously wanted Bruno Fernandes. We didn't get Bruno Fernandes in. We didn't replace Lukaku. And now we're seriously suffering because of that. So many injuries, and it's only just started. In my opinion. Our squad is ridiculously weak. And if we get no one in January, then I dread to think where we're going to be. I really do believe that we could be in a relegation battle. Let's see what other people are saying. It was working against the rubbish sides, to be fair. Yeah, but then again, you can't look what happened at PSG. I know we were lucky in that game, but we still managed to grind out a result. We still managed to create more chances in that game than I think we have this season. Drastically, we are disappointing going forwards massively. And another team that I want to talk about when we talk about teams who are underperforming, about individuals and about relegation battles. Spurs have been last few weeks have been absolutely woeful, conceded a lot of goals. Pochettino was the guy that a lot of people wanted at United to replace Ollie. They believe Pochettino was the guy to get. He was Premier League proven. They believed he just wasn't given the backing by the board at Spurs. I don't know why people think he's going to get that backing from our board, because I don't know if that's going to happen as well. But would you guys still take Pochettino, given the current run of form that Spurs are on at the minute? They conceded obviously a lot of goals. I think Poch would be good at United. I think he's a good fit. It might be possible to get him with the way it's going at Spurs. A lot of people that he might believe that he might be sacked, but I think Pochettino is an interesting one. I personally would still take him at United. I think he's had the same kind of squad to work with. He hasn't been backed. He's obviously getting them top 4 every season. At the minute, we are struggling to get anywhere near that, and we won't get anywhere near that this season. Let's be realistic about it. Pochettino with the right backing could be very successful at United, definitely, but we obviously have to take into account the fact that we've got Ed Woodward still as our CEO, and for me, I don't think Ed Woodward should still be there. I think that since he's been taken over, if you look, I saw a tweet the other day that's absolutely embarrassing that showed obviously the league positions that we have finished since Woodward has been there as our CEO, and it's quite embarrassing, to be honest with you, the correlation between him and our results. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I really don't. I think that we need we need a director of football. Let's face it. We do comment on that all the time. That needs to change. But like I say, it's above the manager's head. I think if we change the manager, there's still a lot of things that need to change. But a change of the manager might be the right thing right now because of the form that we're in at the moment. We seem rock bottom again. Players, I'm not saying they're not playing for the manager, but there's no clear plan there. There's no clear idea. And I think that we need to have a style of play. We need to have a team who know their roles, know their positions that need to be when they're on the ball, when they're not on the ball. I don't know what they're doing in the training ground, but we seem to be seeing the same week in, week out. We're not seeing any developments at all. And I do know that the players, like I say, have struggled under previous managers. I do think the players have to take some blame for that. Of course they do. And a lot of blame for it, in my opinion. But at the same time, you've got to say that even if you've got bad players, even if you've got mostly defensive players, you should have a system, you should have a style of play. And we should be able to see that. We don't see that at all. Even Newcastle showed a style of play against us the other day, and it worked. We haven't got that at all. And that's where I question Ollie massively. Thank you so much, Turbo Warrior, for that super chat. I really do appreciate it. He says, spending money on a new stadium was a boneheaded move by Spurs. Poch did not get the funds he needed, and people think it's his fault. I disagree, and I completely agree with that opinion. I think if he was backed properly, Poch would be far more successful at Spurs. I think him not being backed has really affected him, and I think he did fantastically well with the backing that he got, with the squad that he got. If you look at Spurs fullbacks, they've always been pretty poor, and he's had to struggle with that. So for me, I do believe that Pochettino, with the right board and the right backing at a big club like United, I think could be very, very successful. I'll completely agree with that, Turbo Warrior. Self-help me here. Bruno Fernandes contributed 75% of Sporting Lisbon's goals last season and 78% this season, having already scored 5 goals, 6 assists. Apparently not good enough for United, the club says. A lot of people wanted Bruno. A lot of people want Maddison. Maybe the fans should just become the new director of football, because I don't know what the club look at. I remember watching Andy Robertson at Hull seasons ago and saying, you know what, this kid's decent as a left back. Like he looked really good. I remember seeing Maguire as well. Maguire didn't stand out as much, but Robertson really stood out. I remember thinking, he looks decent, you know. Why on earth on our board approaching Andy Robertson at that point in his career? Why are we waiting for players to have already become a bigger name before we're even looking at them? I'm not being funny, but that's what our scouts are there for, to spot early upcoming talent. Even I spotted that. And I don't get why we're not poaching on these talents. I don't know why we're waiting for them. Like Maddison, for example, is another one. We should have been looking at him ages ago, before he even got to Leicester, but we don't. And for me, that's where the recruitment is simply just not good enough for a United team. We used to get players like that all the time. Not anymore. All they do is smile at the training ground and says, Gaz. Yeah, they all look very happy, and I don't know why, because we're all at home crying. Hi, Sophie. To be fair, Poch has a better squad to work with. Son, Kane, Lucas, Ericsson, etc. They lack defensively, that's why they're conceding goals. Very good point. Very good point. But if you look at our team as well on paper, there's a lot of good players. I know we've got a lot of bang average players, but we've also got a lot of quality players as well. You look at Liverpool squad. the likes of Milner, Henderson, you look at that and you think, no way should they be lifted a Champions League trophy, but it happened. And again, it's all because they're playing into the system, they're playing into the philosophy of the manager, and I just don't see that system at United. I think we haven't got it. We haven't got an identity at all, and that's what I thought we would get under Ollie. When we first saw him take over, we looked like we were playing this high-press football with this attacking. On the counter-attack, we looked so dangerous. Nowadays, the only thing I see when I watch Manchester United is Dan James. He's the only threat that I see on that pitch. And it shouldn't be that way. Dan James was signed, probably not even to be a starter, but at the minute he's the first name on the team sheet. And I don't think that is a good thing necessarily, because he shouldn't have been. He should have been our upcoming. And he's the most dangerous player that we've got. Bruno is better than Maddison. Hi, Paul. Hope you're good. Bruno was too expensive. Let's call a spade a spade. It's not the type of player that we look at. It's a cost, social media footprint, and sell-on value combo. Football is a small part of it. It's a very good point as a business. United, we all know that United is a business more than a football team nowadays, and that would have been a lot of their thought process. But I think he'd have been a fantastic player at United, Bruno. I think he would have been. That's the kind of player we're lacking, that creative midfielder, definitely, and amongst other players that we're lacking as well, of course. But that creative midfielder, I think, is really, really paying dividend now to our season. Rashford says, I'm Ollie out, but how this guy is not helping himself. Oh, I'm not Ollie out, sorry, but Ollie is not helping himself. I think I would agree with that. I think I'm not Ollie out, but he has got a lot of questions to answer. I think he is definitely above the manager, but I can see why a lot of people are turning on him now. My patience is wearing very thin as well, because I'm just not seeing any improvement week in, week out. I know it's going to be a long process, but I just can't see a clear plan at all. Paul Robinson says dinner's ready. I wish. I'm absolutely starving. Miles A said, what happened to Lingard? Who's Lingard? I don't remember anyone. Oh, Messi Lingard, you mean? I can't believe people are calling him Messi Lingard. I said it the whole time. I said Lingard is a squad player. He's a number 10. And number 10 should be the most creative player in the team. Ideally, should be involved in everything going forwards. This guy, I don't know if he's hiding. I don't know what it is. But Lingard is not getting involved in games. He's definitely lacking on confidence. That I agree with. Why don't we play Pereira at number 10? Why don't we try Pereira in that 10 position, or even put Mata there? Because for me, Lingard, he doesn't get on the ball enough. Yes, he'll chase around and try and work hard to close people down, but other than that, he's a number 10. He should be our most prolific, not scorer, but involved in attacks going forwards. And he just isn't involved. I don't know if he's hiding because he's got no confidence. I don't know what it is with Jesse Lingard at the minute, but he's not good enough to be a starter anyway. Yes, he had that, like I said, that bit of fun where he was banging in screamers for fun, but no, he doesn't even look capable of doing that at the minute. He doesn't look at it. And confidence will affect that, of course, but keep playing him. This kid should have some competition in that number 10. And at the minute, he seems a bit untouchable. For me, I would play Pereira in the number 10 rather than out wide. I don't think Pereira should be out on the right-hand side. And I do think if Ollie rates him that much that he wants to play him, he needs to be playing in that 10 position. Ollie has injured them, trying to get them fit. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of injuries, and it's no coincidence that is happening. He has been beasting them to try and get them fitter because he wants them to press, apparently. But we don't really see that. We don't see that week in, week out. Did you see the video on Twitter where Jones said something and Woodward turned and replied to him? Clear and obvious, Jones is respecting the powers that be. Yeah, it looked like Jones said something like sacked in the morning. Woodward turned around and said, you're on camera, shut up. That's what it looked like. It did clearly look like that. Yeah, it was an interesting video, to be fair. It was interesting. Maybe he did say sacked in the morning. And if they're laughing and mocking it, then you're right, it's a massive disrespect. And I do think there's an attitude and mentality issue amongst the players. Hence, I said earlier, the players need to take a lot of blame. The same core of players, realistically, have failed many managers post-Fergie. I do think there's a mentality issue there. I genuinely do think that. I think there's a core of players who are probably good enough. Other than that, most of them I would definitely ship out. Alex, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, I am Ollie in, as this mess is the fault of the owners over many years. Changing managers now will not change much. Changes need to happen above him first. Again, that's pretty much echoing my point of view. However, what I will say is that if these results keep happening for Ollie, I can't see him, maybe even after the Liverpool game, to be fair, I can't see him being given much more time, because we're almost in a relegation battle with Man United, and that simply cannot happen. Not with the amount of money that this club have got, the amount of business, obviously, that this club attracts. I don't know if the board will let us slip that far down the table, so I don't know how much time Ollie's got. I think should be given time. but I don't think he's going to get it. I really don't see that happening. Spurs and United have been the victim of some serious FIFA scripting, or they're just rubbish. I'm going to say, or they're just rubbish. I think we're just rubbish. I don't think there's any scripting going on at all. I think we're just simply not good enough. And I'm sure Spurs fans would echo that as well. Very disappointing. Michael Laudrup would be good for you guys. No banter. If I'm thinking my ideal manager out there at me who's available, that's why I'm a bit puzzled. I think if we get rid of Ollie, Potter would be the other guy that I would be looking to probably. Other than that, obviously you've got Allegri, defensive. Do we want to see more defensive? Simeone was echoed as well. I know he's obviously at a club, but people believe that he would come to United if the chance was there. I don't know if I want a defensive manager in there, because we kept saying we were bored at Jose football. But then again, on the other hand, I'm thinking at least we'd have like a clear way of playing and a clear system. We haven't got that at the minute. We definitely haven't got a plan B. We can't blame Ollie for the injuries. We don't know that it's his fault. I think the thing about the injuries, though, is the fact that we've got such a weak squad. We knew that getting rid of Lukaku, we would be very, very weak going forwards. We knew that obviously not signing the midfielder left us very, very weak and very open in the middle. And these injuries are now happening like we anticipated they would. And we're being proven right. We haven't got a strong enough squad to compete at all. To think that we endured the services of Ashley Young for so long, his extension will end this season, the worst United player I've ever watched. I'm going to disagree there. I think of late, Ashley Young, of course, I do think he's past it in his old, but I think he's had a very decent career at United. I think at the end of the day, he was a winger and he was converted into a right back. I know he's a fault for a lot of goals positionally sometimes, but I think to say that he's the worst player you've ever watched, it's obviously very harsh. I think he's had a decent career at United. He's definitely past it now, and that I agree with. I think he shouldn't still be playing. He shouldn't still be starting. But again, it highlights the weakness of our squad, the lack of depth in our squad. That's why players like Ashley Young are playing. Sophie Gina Froome's ex-Lingard girl is dating Jack Grealish, which means Messi Grealish is coming. The Messi Lingard thing. Jack Grealish is a good point. I said the season would be a big season really for my judgment on him, because I felt like he has too many touches on the ball. A few times this season he's been caught out by having too many touches. But on the whole, I've got to say, he has impressed me. I think he's looked decent this season for Villa. He really has. He really has. Choking. Ashley Young is a fantastic servant to the club. Please respect him. I agree with that. He's had a decent career at United, and people are writing him off when they don't think they really should. Our midfield would be better off with Pogba, Matic, McTominay, with Mata in the 10 position, Fred and Pereira, and Lingard are done out here for me. Fred Flintstone, as I like to call him. Fred, like I said, the PSG game, he was impressive. He impressed me. But other than that, I've got to say that Fred has been woeful. I think on the ball he looks sloppy, gives the ball away a lot. But then sometimes he'll do something and you think, right, he has got some technical ability. 50 million though, I think we've been absolutely mugged off. Like I say, Fred Flintstone, in my opinion, this Brazilian Fred, he's got caps for Brazil. I'm not sure how that's happened. I think we've been absolutely mugged off with that signing, if I'm totally honest. Hope I'm proved wrong, and I hope Fred all of a sudden becomes fantastic, but I cannot see that happen. So if you imagine if Gerrard knocked you guys out of the Europa League, I wouldn't write that off happening. Can it get any worse for a United fan right now? I don't know. The thing I'm going to talk about as well, I had a message when I asked you guys to tweet and let me know what to talk about. Someone said about Wenger and Emery, and someone said, is Emery any better than what Wenger was in the final years? And I think that a lot of things to look at with Emery is the game against us is one I'm going to focus on first. The game against us at Old Trafford, I went to that game. I felt that if Arsenal fully went for it in that game, they could have quite easily beat us, and they went too defensive. They didn't really go for it. And I remember talking to DT after the game, and I said, what did you think about that? And he said, to be honest, he was frustrated. Emery's tactics ruined that game for Arsenal, that they could have easily gone for it. But then you look at, sometimes I watch Arsenal and I think, they look really good. But I always think that Emery was foolish not to strengthen the defence. I think you have to question him, because he should have strengthened that defence when he had the chance. He didn't. David Luiz came in, but is he really strengthening that defence? I'm not so sure he is. Like I've already said, I think 1 week he'll be fantastic, another time he'll be an absolute liability. I don't think he really strengthens their back four. And I think I don't know about Emery. I'm undecided, and I know a lot of Arsenal fans are as well. Like I say, after that, I'm going to focus on the United game in particular because I know that they believe that if he went for it, he could have quite easily got all 3 points at Old Trafford. He didn't, and like I say, I don't know. Is he too tame? Is he not bold enough? Is he better than Wenger? Arsenal fans, if you're in the chat, get at me. But I think it's a good point. Is he any better than Emery? And he believes to be more modern, but I don't know. Paul says I stuck up for Fred, but he's let me down. He's had some good attributes, but so many bad ones. I'd agree with that. I think in flashes, he shows you his technical ability and he looks good, but on the whole, I think he's sloppy, very erratic, and yeah, I'm not impressed. 50 million, I think we've absolutely been mugged off with that sale. I really do. I agree, he's way too conservative at Old Trafford. I genuinely think that if they went for it, they could have quite easily got 3 points at that game. I really do. I think we were there for the taking. Probably the worst Man United team that I've ever seen play this season, to be honest with you. I think we look so poor. At times, I can't even watch it. It's that poor. Absolutely shocking. It really confuses me as to why we did so well when Ollie was in interim, yet since he was made permanent, we've fallen back into despair. How is that possible? See, for me, that's where the mentality of the players comes in. A new manager comes in, all players are fighting for the players to want to impress the new manager to get their starting, obviously, their positions. Second that manager is made permanent, do they then slack off? Is that what happens? Because it feels that way to me. It feels like once the players are comfortable, the manager is comfortable, then they feel that they can just slack off, and that's where form begins to dip. It's a really interesting point, and it's a question that's baffled me because I think the style of football has changed since Ollie first took over. I was really excited when Ollie took over. Pre-season, I thought we were pressing well. We looked really, really attacking. And then we've just dipped off massively. A lot of people think it's because Ollie's lost his bottle. He isn't taking risks anymore. But I genuinely believe that the questions need to be questioned the players need to be questioned quite a lot as well. I think there's a mentality issue. And maybe I am right. Maybe it's when they believe the manager is settled, their place is secure, they slip back off again. And that's why I believe there's a lot of players who need to be shipped out to United. And that's why I'm not fully Ollie out. I do believe Ollie is right to come under question now, and patience is wearing thin. But these players are doing my head in. When was the last game we were outstanding, dominant, and had a great 90 minutes and fully deserved the win? Honestly, I cannot remember. Paul, I completely agree with that. A lot of people say, we beat Chelsea 4-0. I don't think we deserved to beat Chelsea 4-0. I thought we were very lucky in that game. Abraham at the post. Chelsea looked fantastic. We got lucky. We got lucky in that game. I know how can you say, we won 4-0 and got lucky, but that's one of the rare occasions that we actually did. It wasn't a 4-0 game as people would call it. So for me, I can't remember the last game we fully dominated a game either. That's a good point, Paul. And that's worrying, isn't it? That's really worrying when you think about that. And Chelsea is another one that I'll talk about because they're in a similar situation to us. They've had a new manager, club legend, come in. He's obviously had some experience in the Championship with Derby, but club legends come in. He's pushing the youth players through. But when you watch Chelsea now, they have got a clear way of playing. They're playing thrilling football. They're pressed really high. He's got people like Mason Mount out there banking in goals for fun. Abraham looking like one of the best strikers in the league at the minute. No, you can't tell me that isn't because of good coaching. That shows that Frank Lampard is doing a very good job at Chelsea. Bear in mind he's got a transfer ban. And here's us splashing some money on 80 million on a centre-back, yet we look absolutely clueless. And I think that's a bad reflection on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think Chelsea are a good team to compare us to at the minute. And they're definitely making moves. And like I said, they've got a clear way of playing. They're exciting to watch. We look absolutely exhausted. We look boring. We look out of ideas. And it doesn't look good on Ollie, and that's where the questions obviously return towards Ollie in terms of the performance on the pitch, the system that we're playing, and the way that the players look absolutely clueless. Gaz says Ollie versus Lampard, who will be sacked first? It's going to be Ollie. I think Lampard at the minute, I think he's doing well at Chelsea. They're playing good football. And like I say, he's got a few players who are up and coming who are exceeding expectations at the minute at Chelsea. And he's got a transfer ban as well. So that'll buy him even more time. The great Roy Keane should walk into that dressing room if we ever underperform again and give them a piece of his mind. Great motivational speaker. He is, and he would absolutely terrify them. He'd scare the life out of them. Doug, hope you're good. He says Silva to be next manager sacked. It's a good point. It's a good shout. But a lot of people believe it could be Ollie as well. Liverpool next game. It's a hard one to judge him on. But the way our form is at the minute, we've got to put the club first, and we shouldn't be in a relegation battle. We should be when you look at the quality of our squad. But we're Manchester United and we shouldn't be in one. And I'm just baffled at how we can get so bad. Shocking. Sheffield United boss, when he lost to Liverpool, says it was their bare minimum. And you look when we draw to AZ, Alkmaar, Ollie says, I'm proud of the boys, hope this helps. Yeah, Ollie's that's a good point. I was going to touch on this. Ollie's press conference, obviously his post-match interviews, he is baffling me. He's talking so positive and upbeat, and then maybe it's because he's trying to uplift the fans and make us feel a bit more positive. But if I'm honest, it's just absolutely frustrating me watching him after these. He's coming out and saying, "Oh, the boys played well. We should have won 3-0. We only had one shot on target. So how do you work that out?" I feel like infuriated, and like I say, it's getting to the point now where I'm actually struggling to watch United. The other day, I felt like just turning it off. It's shocking. Sunday League football is more entertaining to watch than Man United at the minute. And you know what? They definitely have more shots on target. They create more chances in Sunday League because we look absolutely ideas. It's to the point that I think that we've forgotten that the aim of football is to score more goals than our opposition. It's like we believe that you can win games on just passing sideways. It's shocking. Absolutely shocking. Can Ollie turn this around, says Pancake? I fear for the worst. I fear that his time is done now. I fear that he hasn't got long left. I think he should be given time to turn it around, but I can't see it happening at all. Dan Frost says, "Hi, Sab, can you give my mate Tony from Wolverhampton a massive hello again? And are you a Peaky Blinders fan? Random question, up the Wolves for the other day, and Ollie should stay." Hi, Tony. There's one. I am a massive Peaky Blinders fan. I've watched them all. Big fan of that series. And yeah, I think fair play to Wolves every day. I think they always look like scoring against Man City. Man City, for me, will not win the league this season. I don't know if they've secretly got an eye on the Champions League, because obviously that's something that Pep hasn't won. But I think not replacing Kompany is a big loss. Laporte not playing as well. Defensively, they're too vulnerable, and for me, that is why Liverpool are going to win the league. I think it was criminal for them not to replace Kompany. Defensively, they look like they're going to concede goals. And so I think Liverpool are going to win the league and City will come second. But fair play to Wolves in that game the other day. They showed, like I said earlier, they showed how to play in a system. Everyone knows their roles and they carried out the plan. We don't look capable of doing that under Ollie, and that's why I seriously do worry. Right, guys, I've really enjoyed being back in front of the camera and having a chat with you guys. Good to just talk about football. Good to get a bit of a rant about United and talk about the problems, what we think. Because you know what? There's a lot of people out there who are fully Ollie out. A lot of people who are fully Ollie in. And there's a lot of people who are a bit like me, a bit on the fence. And it's just good to hear everyone's views about it. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. I always do appreciate it. Please do hit that sub button if you haven't already. Thanks for all the super chats as well. It means a lot. Drop a like on the video. Drop a comment. And I'll be back online soon with some more content. Last question from Pancake, because it's a good one. He said, which position is more important, a striker or a midfielder? I think we need both. I don't think you can pick between the two. I think both of them are vital in January, and that's where we should be looking at. But thank you so much, guys. Been a pleasure. Take care. Have a good evening.